Hi Aries, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol and this is going to be a general reading. There is no date on my reading, so I trust that when it comes into your feed, it's meant for you. In today's reading, we're going to be doing something called Conquer Your Fears. And I thought that because of what has been going on in the world and how I've been feeling myself, you know, I think that there's a lot of fear going around in a lot of us, and fear is a really intense emotion that sits in our system, and it can show up in our body, it can show up in our thoughts, and it just can create a lot of tension in us. I know for me, I felt, very paralyzed at one point a few weeks ago, where it's just like I didn't know what to do, and so I think it affects everything we do. And the thing is, we can push our fear down. We can block it because we don't want to feel it. And in particular, our ego self is petrified of all our emotions, and it is definitely petrified of fear. And so we're going to look at where your fear is showing up in your life, first of all. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at how you're blocking this fear, because we can block it. And there's different ways that we'll use to block it, so we'll look at that. And then we're going to look at what the origin of this fear is. Where is it coming from? Because the fear that we're, seeing in our outside world right now, we're feeling it, we're scared, but it's also triggering something inside of us. It's triggering our own fear of something that needs to heal. It's bringing up some of our trauma that needs to heal. And then we're also going to ask for some advice from the tarot as to how you can begin to release this fear from your system. And I'll recommend a video or two playlist at the end from my other channel called Carol Cares. And so, to begin your reading, I'm going to be using the Ehrenberg Tarot first of all, and then I'm going to clarify it with the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. And so I'm just going to put you right now on speed shuffle while I set up your cards. All right, Aries, so we're going to look at, first of all, where is your fear showing up in your life? And you start off with the Five of Wands. I love the depiction in this deck of the Five of Wands. It's like this individual is looking at themselves in a mirror, but it's not a mirror, but it almost looks like that. But look at the image that they see. It's not the same person, right? It's like we look in ourselves in the mirror and we think we see this one person, but it's not really you. And so how is fear showing up in your life? Well, you're telling yourself, the Five of Wands is what I call my inner critic card. It's because, we look in the mirror and we see somebody and we can be so critical of ourselves when we look in this mirror. But the Wands is all about that creative part of you, that fiery aspect of you, that the Wands take you into this different direction. But I think what you're doing right now is maybe there is some direction you want to do. Maybe there's something that you want to do. But you're very much criticizing yourself, and you can hear all these things in your head that you're forever. Your inner critic is a mean part. It'll come up and it'll tell you a lot of mean things about yourself. And believe it or not, these things that we tell ourselves that are very mean are things that we have heard before, and they're just kind of on repeat that we heard when we were younger. And so that's what's happening with you right now. And maybe you're telling yourself all these things like, why are you so scared? Why are you a scaredy cat? Why can't you do that? What's wrong with you? And these are the things, again, like I said, you've heard them before, but you're really battling your fear with all these things that you're saying to yourself to keep you small. Because let's get honest with, what's going on in the world is, there's a real big effort to keep people afraid so that we can keep them small. And so this is what's happening in your own system, where you're trying to keep yourself small so that you don't look at this fear. Your ego is. And so what comes after it is the Lover's card. And this is in reverse, and in an upright position. The Lover's card's a beautiful card, actually. And I'm not sure that a lot of tarot readers really take time to look at what this means. It is a choice card for sure. But let's look at this carefully. You have a masculine figure and you have a feminine figure. And the masculine figure here represents our conscious mind. It represents, and if you look at this masculine figure, it's just looking ahead, right? It's what you see. That's your conscious mind. It's like, you look in the mirror and you just see something. That's what you consciously are aware of. And then you have this feminine figure right here, not looking at the masculine. And even the masculine is just staring straight ahead, right? Not looking at the feminine. The feminine is looking upwards, looking to the divine, looking upwards to this power above, because the feminine represents our unconscious. The feminine is the unconscious part of us, that part of us that our deep inner knowing, and we can only get there when we get into our body. And this is in reverse here. And so there is a choice here for you that I'm really seeing it now, because the Hermit card is next. And it's just really glaring here, where it's like you are very much up in your head right now, Aries, telling you all these things. You're telling yourself all these things that, they're not true, but they're trying to keep you small. And then you get this Lover's card that says, listen, Aries, you have a choice here. Like, there's this choice here to go inwards, to get back in your body, to get out of your head. Those things that you keep telling yourself are not true. So let's go into our body and let's start to feel. Let's start to feel this fear. What is this fear about? And then you get the Hermit card in reverse. And the Hermit card is a major arcana card. It's really a card of a calling, if you want, to say, it's time. It's time here to go inwards. So you've got these two cards that talk about going inwards and doing the healing journey and getting in touch with your emotions. All of these things that we want to block. And they're sitting here for you, but there's this big fear in your body that's blocking you from doing that. What is this fear? Why don't you want to ground into your body and to feel some of these emotions? Where is that fear coming from? And so what are you doing to block this fear? So that you don't have to think about this. And maybe you've wanted to, really start to do some work on yourself, and that you have to, really dig deep and get into your body and start to feel some of these emotions and look at some of your trauma maybe, and look at your childhood. Maybe that. But there's this great fear, and so how are you blocking it? Well, your King of Swords comes out. Look at this king. He has the sword. And the sword is, it's our mental energy first of all, but the sword by itself represents our authentic self, our truth, right? He's blocking his pineal gland up here, where his third eye, and he's definitely, and this is what's happening, is the king is your masculine self. And we all have a masculine and a feminine side. It has nothing to do with your gender. But this particular king, your ego self, does not want you to get in touch with who you really are. It wants nothing to do with authenticity. In fact, the ego self will want you to put on all those masks, and go out into society and pretend that that's who you are. Well, it's not really you. It doesn't want you to get in touch with authenticity. It's a fearful part on its own. It's petrified of you getting in touch with who you really are. It wants to just kind of keep that boat floating, status quo. Let's not rock the boat. No, this is not a good idea. Don't go there. This is dangerous. And that's the part right now that's blocking you, is your ego self. And right after that comes the Page of Cups. And I will say that, this little page right here is probably the most important card in this reading. And it comes up again in your shadow, right here in your unconscious. And so we're going to take a peek at that when it comes up. But what is this little Page of Cups? Who is this Page of Cups right here? In reverse because it's blocked. My pages in my deck represent our inner children. And so the Page of Cups in particular is the inner child. I call it my love seeker. We all have this little part. It's that little part that will continue in our life to draw in toxic people in our life because it follows patterns from childhood. And if you had toxic people in your life when you were younger, it will continue to search the love that they never got. And unfortunately, it'll continue to repeat the same patterns that happened to them in childhood because that's all they remember. And it'll be a part that really becomes a chameleon. You know, we talked about wearing different masks with this ego. In this little part, it's kind of like the ego's henchman, where it'll actually it'll come out sometimes when it helps block you from your pain. So whenever you're feeling pain, whenever you feel pain coming up and there's something in your system that you want to block and you don't want to deal with, this little part will often come out for us. It can be a people pleaser as well. It can be that one that just wants love in all the wrong places. And so I'm seeing here that that's what you're doing is where you're very much your people pleaser, your part of you, your inner child is out where you continue to invite people come into your space and you can't figure out why is the same person, why am I attracting the same type of people all the time? And that's just because there's pain here that you want to block. And that's why this little part comes out all the time. And we have to heal that. It's an inner child. They need to be heard. They need to be understood. And we need to write and journal from them and what they want from you. Because you need to reparent that small part of you that didn't get the love you needed when you were younger. And how else are you blocking it? Well, you know, there are some... The moon card comes out when the moon comes out, when the moon card comes out, there are a lot of these weird things that come out of the water that have been hidden for a long time, right? And it's blocked here. So there's definitely some things here that you need to uncover that I think this ego of yours is blocking. It does not want you to be, you know, to dig into your authentic self and try to figure out, okay, what is this about you? Why? There's a huge calling in this reading for you to go inwards and to get back into your body, to ground into your body, because there's something here that's hidden that you're not aware of that needs to heal. And so let's look at what's the origin of the fear. So there's fear in your body. First of all, you have the ego self that's a petrified part on its own. But if there's some real fear here that's coming up around why you can't go into your body, why you can't go into your body, why you can't go in and feel and find out where this fear is coming from. There's something here. Well, like I said, your Page of Cups in reverse is here. Here's your blocked inner child right here. Here's that little part of you when you were younger that did not get the love that they needed, that were not supported, were not validated, and learned at a very young age that emotions were dangerous, right? And it became very much blocked when you were younger. You did not get it. You didn't get the unconditional love that you needed when you were younger. And right behind it is the Queen of Cups. And the Queen is our feminine side. We've been talking a lot about the masculine side, and now we get to the feminine side. And she is, she's the Queen of Cups. She's the Queen of emotions. This is the feminine side of us that has been repressed for a long time now. She's the one that lives in her body. She feels all her emotions. She feels them. She processes them. processes them, and then she releases them. They don't get stuck in her body. But when you were younger, when you did not get the love that you needed, you learned at a very young age to block these emotions, to be in your body and to feel and process all your emotions. You couldn't. You were too young. You learned very young to put your emotions away. And that is very much another card to support it is this Nine of Cups right here. Cups is all about our emotions, right? And Cups speaks to us, this individual. You know, this is only the Nine of Cups. There's another cup here in the pip cards that go from Ace to 10. And he's stopped at 9. He's put all his emotions up on a shelf and said, no, that's it. I'm done. I felt as many emotions as I want to feel. It's done. And this was you when you were younger. It's like, no, I tried to feel all my emotions. And I learned that they weren't safe. And so you put them away. You put them, just imagine these little kids. You see these little kids sometimes in some pictures where they're sitting in a corner where they've been sent to the corner because they were bad. And they just sit here like this because they have emotions to express and they're not allowed to. Or they were sent there because they were angry. Or they were sent there because they were crying too much. Or they expressed an emotion they weren't allowed to feel. They weren't allowed to be them. And so you very much shut down when you were younger. And the Eight of Wands comes out as the last card for your unconscious and what you need to heal here. And the origin of your fear. And you lost direction. This is these Eight of Wands talk about, the direction you need to go in. You lost direction. Really lost sense of who you were. And yeah. And so that's why there's this huge calling here for you to get back in your body. So how can you begin to release this fear? Well, you get a tower card first of all, and then the Four of Swords. The Tower card came in, and I didn't know what it was. It was sideways, and I said, okay, we'll turn it over. It was a Tower card. Comes in sideways here. Now, why would a Tower card come in sideways? In an upright position, we know that this is a major change of circumstance that needs to take place. I call this kind of like the universe saying, I've given you a bunch of warnings, and maybe you've had health warnings. I've told you over and over again. I've given you red signs, red flags, and you weren't listening. And so I have to take a baseball bat and go boom so that I can change you in a different course of direction because you weren't listening. And in a position like this, if it's upside down, if it's in reverse, then that would tell me that, it's probably the last red flag for you before you get this big baseball bat from the universe. But this came sideways. And so it's like this is almost can go either way here for you. It's almost like you're at a tipping point. Have you ever played that? I hated the game, but I loved it. It was like, I think it was called Tipsy, actually, now. I remember now. Where you had to scoop off those yellow discs and try to put it onto another rung or whatever you call it. And sometimes you could tip it, and then if you tipped it, it would all fall over. The game didn't take long for that game to be over. But I hated that game, but yeah, I loved it, right? And that's what I see this as, this tower moment, as this tipsy. It's tipping back and forth here, where it's kind of like, okay, the universe is saying you need to get back in your body. With this Lover's card and this Hermit card, it's like it's screaming at you to get back in your body. You need to feel these emotions. You have this little love seeker, this part of you that will wreak havoc in your life, will continue to chase people that are the wrong people because you're still trying to find that love that you didn't get when you were younger. But it's time now to get back into your body and to start to feel some of this pain that you felt as a child. Your inner child couldn't feel it when they were younger, but you can now because you're an adult. And then you have the Four of Swords coming right behind this tipsy tower moment here. And this Four of Swords calls for you to get still. It's a card of, it's time to take some time out now. It's a card that tells you to get still. Beautiful feminine quality is stillness. You need to get still. Every one of us, I don't care who you are, needs to spend some time alone and quiet and just to start to feel, well, who am I? Who am I without all these distractions around me? Very much a call here for you to get still, to the point that there's this Tower card that's kind of going, you know, it's time for you to really look at this. And then you have another inner child here. You can have more than one inner child. This is the Page of Pentacles. This is the little child of yours that knew at 4, 5, 6 years old. They knew who they were. They were in their body. The pentacle is all about the body. They felt all their emotions because they were in their body. Kids feel all their emotions when they're younger because they feel everything. And then they get in trouble for feeling them, and that's where they start to, you know, put them all away and say, well, these are dangerous emotions. I'm not allowed to have them. So you have another inner child here that was not allowed to be in their body. And we know that already. You were told, we've established that already. And that inner child needs healing. So there's some real healing with your inner children here. And the last card that comes out is a 7 of Cups, and it was sideways. In an upright position, 7 of Cups is this individual that's looking at all these cups on offer, right? All these cups with emotions in them. But instead of emotions, there's these weird things coming out of these cups. And it's like, oh my, I can't figure out which one of these to choose. And there's clouds there. It's all cloudy. It's almost like it's blurry. And this is my card of what I call of dissociation. Dissociation is when you are up in your head and you need to go into your body. So there's some real grounding here that needs to take place. The universe wants you to get grounded into your body so you can start to feel some of the pain of your inner children, your little love seeker right here, and your Page of Pentacles. There's some real pain here that needs to be felt, to the point that you have this Tower that's going, you know, this could go either way here. It's time for you to get still, Aries. And I know that you're very much, you know, that sign that wants to go, wants to go, wants to go. And it's very difficult for an Aries to kind of just go, right? But I think there's a real call for you to do that, to get still. And so I'm going to leave you with a grounding playlist at the end, and also a fear playlist. And I want you to have compassion for yourself, Aries, for what you're working through right now. Healing yourself is the most difficult journey on this planet, but it's the most important one. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye.